informative and as brief as possible. So there may be some things that I come back to. You will find that I am a charts and graphs kind of girl, and things are color coordinated, and things may seem kind of crazy right now. So we will go ahead and go through as much as we can. You each should have a green folder that is specific to your child. If we have a situation where mom needs a copy and dad needs a copy, Ms. Stanley does have extra copies in the back that are blank that do not have any student information in them. So you can follow along. So can everyone hear me okay? And if you can't see, I know it's kind of like church, but nobody wants to sit in the front, but there's plenty of room if you want to come up here or to the side. So I always start off my kids with an inspirational quote, and we are going to be talking about their future, whatever that may hold, whatever that may be, whatever that may look like. Senior year is really like an emotional roller coaster. Parents, how many of you, this is your first child to graduate from high school? Okay, so this is all new, and you're scared. You're probably finding yourself on that, maybe panicked and a little lost and unsure what to do. How many of you this is your second or last child to graduate? So you are a little bit into the spectrum. You might be, here we go, right? Up and down, up and down, up and down. So it just continues. And it's okay to be at different places at different times. Recognize that a lot of times your emotions are mirrored from the students as well. So they're feeling that as well, okay? All right, so I'm on slide 4. Here is my contact information. My cell number is on there as well. I do not mind being contacted at home as long as it's within reason. If it's midnight because you have a question about when this is actually due and it's posted 14 places, then that's probably not okay. But I have no problem, and if I'm not available, I'll get back with you. So there's my email address. I do have a website that I will show you whenever we get closer to the finish. And what it looks like. I've left everything on there from last year, so you'll know what it looks like. So I'm not just saying, oh, it will have this. It actually still has the information from last year and what to do with it. Slide 5. My role as a counselor, I have 3 main jobs: academic, social and emotional, and career. Part of my job is for our students to graduate and to be successful, for their social and emotional well-being, self-management and awareness, relationships, responsible decision-making, and then looking at career opportunities and what paths they need in order to be successful in that. So if you would, at this point in time, go to the very back of your packet. The last 2 sheets in your packet include these things. So the second to last is their transcript, and that is the 6th semester transcript. So second to last sheet in your students, it's white. If you have your students, it will be the transcript, and it has a record of all of their grades. The bottom left, if your kids should be able to go through everything in your transcript in their transcript with you. But the bottom left includes their GPA, their class rank, and how many credits they have. They are experts in knowing these sort of things at this point in time. So this is their 6th semester transcript. If you need this for any reason, I can send it to you. What colleges and scholarships typically look at is their 7th semester transcript. That is in December. So when school gets out for Christmas break, I finalize senior grades. That's all I care about before I leave for Christmas break. So I don't leave school that Friday until I have all senior grades done. Those are finalized, and 7th semester transcripts are ready. And then I send each student out an individual copy of their 7th semester transcript. That way, if there are any scholarship opportunities or applications they need to work on over Christmas break, they have that most recent, okay? So right now, it's the 6th semester. Nothing changes until December. If you want to go to the very last page in your booklet, I had each senior fill out senior inventory. And I had them do it in ink because I'm a mom too, and I know I wanted these for my kid, so you will too. So I just think it's pretty interesting. We went through questionnaires. We went through realistic, obtainable goals for this year. They knew you were going to be looking at these, so if they put something silly on it, that sort of thing, but most did pretty well on it. So those 2 pages in the back of your folder talk about encompass my role as a counselor. So if you could go back to the front to slide 6. Graduation requirements have not changed. They are familiar with the 28 graduation credits that they need. If your child is not on target for that, they are already aware of this. The last thing I want is for anyone to have a surprise phone call in April that, oh my gosh, you're not graduating next month. So those are things that we have continuously been working on. I do need you to help me, parents, and I tell the kids, senioritis is a real disease. It runs rampant, it is contagious. So we are going to help slow the spread of senioritis until that sort of thing. So when they're wanting to do senior skip day in October, not a good idea if they're already thinking senior skip day in October. Senior skip day is really not a thing. They just decide that they want to take a day off school. So we usually have the ISS room pretty full a couple days after. So it's a fun time for them. All right, on to slide 7. Here is their timeline. Carson, Trinity, have I introduced anything new yet that you are not already aware of? Okay. I'm not supposed to ask Devin and Allie though, is that right? I'm not supposed to call you out? Okay, I'll remember that. Okay. All right, so timeline. They should at this point in time have their own personal Gmail email address. I've suggested a Gmail because what the school has is Gmail and Gmail talk nicely together. So they can transfer all of their stuff. They will have access to their school emails even after they graduate. We are fortunate we do not turn it off, so they can still use that, but it's good to go ahead and have their school emails are really, really long. And whenever they create that, they want to represent themselves in the best possible way. BigSexy@gmail.com is probably not going to get many scholarship opportunities, just throwing it out there. So ongoing, create and utilize your email. Visit colleges, work on scholarships, continue to build that resume. When there are opportunities to do things or people that you can network with, take those opportunities because it's not too late. Now also work on possibly some of our students need to retake the ACT, go on more college visits, work on career options, attend college presentations. October 1st, FAFSA opens, and that will be a large part of our presentation toward the end. Some colleges have early or priority deadlines to register or to do the applications November 1st. Summer, Christmas break, you have to double check. I was asked today, can I go ahead and apply for college? And I was very, very, very hesitant because some colleges, I mean, we are still September, are just really starting this semester. And a lot of the websites that I've looked at don't have next school year's information ready yet. So they usually do a lot of changes, and I wouldn't want anyone to apply and then have to or thought they applied and were in for all these scholarships and then have to redo it later on. College or career visits. The handbook says 2. Some kids need 2. Some kids need 0 for a college visit or a career visit. Some kids have known since they were in elementary where they're going and what they're doing. So they may need 1. If I have a student who is looking at multiple opportunities at multiple places and they are taking that serious and they're not sure what they're doing, by all means, I'm not going to say, oh, you only get 2, you have to decide from those 2 places and then go from there. Your whole future is dependent on those 2 days. Have that conversation with me. they need to have a conversation with me. They need to email me what they're doing, where they're going, what they learned, that sort of thing. I am trying to have college reps. The last two that I've had have ghosted me. So we will have college reps come here on campus, and we'll also have group visits. Last week, we took a group to Missouri Southern for the health science stuff. They have some stuff going on at Missouri Southern Health Sciences that I had no idea about. The only campus in the nation that has 2 ambulances connected together, so their EMT courses get real live hands-on experience. So those opportunities. If someone is looking at going into the military, maybe they need multiple things to go to Kansas City for their MEPS. Maybe if we're looking at a career or a trade, there might be other options that they have. So the student just needs to talk to me, have that conversation with me, and be flexible. If it's every Friday and Monday that they're taking college day, I'll probably catch on to that pretty soon. Yeah, so within reason, and I want them to have the best fit, okay? So testing. ACT, that's a big looming question. So some programs require it for a 4-year degree. And you're going to hear me use some and most and sometimes a lot, because every student, every situation is different. So some programs are going to require it. A lot of scholarships and colleges will take up to the December national test date of ACT. So next to ACT, you see I put lime green on there. So slide back just a little bit. It's right after the white page is the lime green page. The neon green. So I told you I'm a charts and graphs girl. So here are the 2022-23 ACT test dates. That November 1st one, I do have a lot of seniors that are registered for it here at school. It's $51. If you are not sure, if they are, if they're not, you want to change that, let me know, okay? The rest of the dates are national test dates, so that October 22nd and December 10th, those will be national test dates that you have to register on the student's myact.org account. Those will be probably at Pitt State if they still have seats, maybe Fort Scott, something like that, but those are national test dates on Saturday. So technically, seniors have 3 more opportunities if they choose and if they need to take the ACT. Not everyone has to take the ACT, and I get that and I support that. But for those who do, you want to do the best that you can, okay? Also on that, you want to make sure, double check and see, a lot of places and scholarships are taking super scores. So if you take it 4 times, they take your highest in each of those subcategories, and they make a new composite score. So the highest composite from each of those. So every place is different. You want to do without writing. Most places do not require anything to do with writing, but it's always an option. And yes, they will let you register late with a fee. I should have thought of ACT. All right. So back to slide 9. Questions on ACT before I go on? Okay. Accuplacer. Accuplacer is also a test that's published by ACT, but it's totally different. It's free. Kids can take it many times. It is a placement exam to go into a community college. And it is a really good opportunity because depending on where they fall on that Accuplacer may depend on what math or English or history class that they can take. If you take it at Lebec Community College, but you're really going to Fort Scott or Colby or whatever, any other community college, they still look at that Accuplacer, and each one may have a different level for each class. So to get into advanced algebra, you need this on the math portion, or intermediate algebra with review. So you're working your way up to that advanced algebra or that college algebra class. It is a placement exam. It is free. Most colleges let them take it numerous times. Sometimes they make them wait like 3 or 5 days between testing just so they have a chance, an opportunity to study. ASVAB is the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, and different branches of the military will require different scores on the ASVAB in order to enlist or to be a particular job or placement. A lot of times those can be taken in Joplin. They can be taken in Kansas City if a student is looking at going into MEPS. Those scores are good for 2 years. So the ASVAB is good for 2 years. Certificates. So it depends on the program of study. We are very fortunate that we have a lot of kids that are involved in a lot of different things. So last year, our class, we had CNAs. We had students graduate with their CMA, their Certified Med-Aid, welding, paraprofessional, pharmaceutical tech, safe serve if they're out in the workforce, that sort of thing. So any sort of extra certificate that they can have in hand in addition to their high school diploma would be very beneficial. Seniors do not have state assessments, and Work Keys is a workplace skills test that the state actually paid for them to take last year as a junior. And it is a workplace skills test that has different areas of reading and math and skills that will be beneficial in the workplace. If they did not take it as a junior, they can take it again for free now, or if they did take it and they want to take it again, we can always set that up through Kansas Works, a different agency, but it's just how the testing works, the placements. Slide 10, regions. So a lot of things have changed in the past few years. So when I was in school, we had to have certain things in order to get into high school or to college. Even when I started my career as a counselor, every kid had to have chemistry and higher level math. Kansas Board of Regents, it's the governing body over all of the higher level institutions in Kansas, has done away with that. So, Emporia State, Fort Hays, Wichita State, and Pitt State, you can be accepted to those colleges with a 21 on your ACT or a 2.25 GPA, okay? Regardless of what, that's what is accepted. You don't have to take specific classes, you have to meet one of those two. K-State is 21 or a 3.25 GPA, and then KU kind of has a sliding scale. It's 21 and a 3.25, or you can have a little bit lower or higher ACT of 24 and lower GPA of 3.0. These 5 for any dual credit classes that students take, like psychology, English, college speech, requires a 2.0 in high school dual credit. KU requires a 2.5. So what this means is they would be accepted. That doesn't mean that they were going to be eligible for maybe some scholarships, maybe some different placements. If a student does not have that 21, but they were sitting at a 3.4 GPA, that's great. They would be accepted. But within each university, some of those colleges, like I talk geography, so I say Pitt State, like the College of Nursing or Business or Education or Construction, those individual colleges at those universities require a minimum of 22 on the ACT. So they could be accepted to the university, but maybe not be accepted into that particular college. Now there are other ways, there are other tests, there are other avenues, but that's one of those things that they need to make sure that they are prepared for and know about. I'd rather them know about it now rather than later, sort of thing. Now, something may change between now and then too, but not that I've seen. But you always want to do your best and represent yourself well. Slide 11. Talks about Kansas degree stats. And this is a really cool thing that I'm going to spend some time with the kids. I haven't done it yet, but it is an interactive tool that reviews cost and earnings for real graduates from every community college and university in the state of Kansas. So every public institution. And if you look between the two purple pages, there's a light purple and a dark purple. If right between there, there's kind of a, what color did we decide that was? A pale green, we will say. A pale green between the two purples. So if kids are not sure what they want to do and what they want to look at, this is a great place to look. So you could see, okay, I want to be a teacher. How much is it going to cost me to do that at Fort Hays versus KU? What are they making? What are they doing? That sort of thing. And it goes through every single thing. You could do it by subject area. So you want to be cosmetology. So you could look at cosmetology or graphic design and see what institutions in the state of Kansas offer those. So it's a pretty cool interactive, and they also have like real graduates from those places with what they're making after they graduate. So it's a pretty neat little thing there. So how much is college? These are estimates. These are estimates. We are very fortunate, and I just picked some locals. So we are very fortunate that we do have some within an hour's drive of Frontenac. We have quite a few community colleges. Okay, we have Fort Scott, Quebec, Coffeyville, Independence. We have Pitt State, the biggest one, KU. And then I also put Friends on there because we have numerous private colleges in the state of Kansas that are really good, they're really small, they're really clean, they're really nice, and with that comes a price tag because they are private and they do not get any money from the state or federal government. So they make up for that in tuition. And I have some kids that are going to private universities and are doing well and absolutely love it. One thing that I will caution, and I caution the kids on because I want to be as real as possible, is just because somebody says, I'm going to give you a $20,000 scholarship, well, if they give you a $20,000 scholarship to Fort Scott, is different than a $20,000 scholarship to somewhere else. So you have to look at that total cost of attendance and then go with that. It's kind of like making this much money living here in Frontenac versus if we lived in New York City, it would our cost of living would be totally different. I get that, you get that, getting a 17 or 18-year-old to get that, let me know when you figure out how that works, okay? So, so here is the basic formula. Whenever we're talking about what we can get and financial need and that sort of thing, this is the basic formula. Every college determines their cost of attendance. That means tuition, fees, room and board, transportation. Every college has its own cost of attendance. Then whenever you fill out the FAFSA, the government decides your expected family contribution. So they take the cost of attendance minus the expected family contribution, and then that's how determination of financial need is determined, okay? So that's the pretty basic, simple equation that they use. Slide 14 talks about the different types of financial aid. So, grants are free money that you do not have to repay. For students who are eligible for Pell Grant, this year it is $6,895, and that is for the entire year. So they would split that in half for each semester. Loans, money that could be private, could be subsidized, could be unsubsidized. Loans you have to repay, just like a car loan or a home loan. Work study is federal money paid in exchange for part-time work on campus, And the only way to get work study is when you're filling out your FAFSA to say, there's a question that says, would you be interested in work study? And if you click yes, then you're in that pool for work study. If you click no, no work study is available to you. So there's one place that, that it is. Scholarships, free money. It can be need or merit-based. You must meet the requirements, and there are renewable scholarships that are renewable every semester depending on meeting requirements. And then there may be non-renewable, that's a one-time gift. Most of the ones that we have here at the end of the year that we give out from supporters are one-time gifts. So it's a one-time, their first semester scholarships, and then they don't get that for anything else for any other semesters unless it's deemed. Other ways of financial aid would be ROTC, or programs and department scholarships, or athletic scholarships. So each institution has their own set of money that they set aside for that. If you want to turn to the pink sheet, I know, lots of flipping. In the pink sheet, the financial aid programs, I listed out specifically each different type of loan or grant, and what the difference is between the subsidized and the unsubsidized, and it does go front and back. So there are some that are federal, and then there are some that are state. So you can apply to as many as possible, but knowing the difference whenever you accept a certain loan versus a grant or something like that. So really knowing the difference, what it is, because it could be a commitment and you have to meet the specific requirements. If you want to flip back 2 pages from that pink one, it's on that lime green one, the back of the Kansas degree stats. It's the back of this one. So this is a whole list of different scholarships that are eligible through the state, and that's a copy. Everything's linkable, and I'll show you where to find those too. But there are a lot of opportunities for students who are wanting or needing that opportunity. Also, in the very back, the orange page, Bree helped me create a new flyer for our Frontenac Education Scholarship. So every student who graduates from Frontenac is eligible for a $150 renewable scholarship for up to four years through Frontenac Education Foundation. They have to apply by those deadlines. So those deadlines are every semester, every time. There is a one quick Google form. They put their name, they put the school they're attending, and their student number. And that money gets sent directly to that school. If they don't fill out the form, if they're late, they don't get the money. So, but that is part of Frontenac Education Foundation's commitment to helping students. That's what FESTA was about. That's why I pushed every senior, you need to be there. You're the current recipients of this. So those are some different ways, different areas of financial aid. Okay, we are ready for slide 15. Okay, so I've had this meeting on the calendar since like the first day of school, pretty close to it, right? So every year, early September, I have a financial aid workshop. So I've been asking, I hadn't heard anything. It was scheduled for the very first one was yesterday. So for an hour and a half and 94 slides, I went through financial aid with the state. So I am putting together the rest of this last night. The girls were helping this morning. It was fast and furious, but I didn't want to put something together that was not correct for you or give you misinformation. Everything that I'm going to go over today is going to be really important for your students who are going to college this year. If they continue on or don't start until next year, they are changing. There's about a 50-page document of FAFSA changes that I'm not ready for. It's about to break me out in hives just thinking about that for next year. But we have this year, and we are going to be good to go. So, FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. A student and parent will both need their own FSA ID, and there's an IRS data retrieval tool. So what I'd like for you to do now is turn after the ACT, so go after the bright lime green, the one right after that says FAFSA checklist. So I steal a lot of things as far as ideas and what works. So some of this came from Maine, and some of this came from the webinar yesterday, and some of this came from back and forth. So I put it together to just kind of go back and cover everything as much as possible. If you have done this before, you're gonna be like, oh, it's a breeze, no worries. If you haven't done this before, everyone says how terrible it is and how awful it is. It's really not too bad. I've tried to lay everything out for you step by step. So you have this to refer to, and you're only going to do it once a year. So it's just one of those things that like, oh, they've changed this or they do this. So on the FAFSA checklist, if a student is thinking about going to college, if it's even an option, a trade school, a vocation, cosmetology, everyone should complete the FAFSA. Even if you do not think that you are going to qualify for any free money, you should go for it. Most colleges require a completed financial aid packet in order for the student to apply and go through all of the applications, okay? So it could be used for eligibility for other things as well. You'll need your social security card for you and a student, and driver's license number. Put a little mark next to that. Number 2, your social security card or driver's license number. The number one thing that gets mixed up on people is when you're filling out your stuff, you put your child's birthday. Or when you're filling out your social security number, you put your child's social security number because you have everything mixed up. Names, legal names. It needs to be legal names. If they go by one name forever, their whole entire life, but their legal name is something else, that's what they have to go by. So names, birthdays, and social security cards are really the toughest part about this because it's just easy to get mixed up. If you don't have a driver's license or the student doesn't have a driver's license, leave the boxes blank. You'll need your 21 tax return. You'll need parents' 21 tax return. Phone numbers for parents and students because they do have a text-in option that works beautifully. You'll use only your permanent mailing address. You'll need records of documentations of other non-taxable income such as welfare benefits, social security, veterans benefits. Parents' marriage date and or divorce date. So there's a question on dependency when your parents were married or when they were divorced and that sort of thing. So sometimes you have to look back through and find that exact date as well. Record of any additional non-taxable income, child support received, veterans non-education benefit, money received or paid on your behalf. Current bank statements, business or investment farm records, and records relating to any unusual financial circumstances. So one example that they used was there was an injury at work, and they made this much money in 21, but that is completely changed and different now. But in 21, it was one thing, now it is totally different. So any unusual family circumstances that can be documented that may be in effect there. Okay, the back of that page. word is free. If somebody or an agency or a club or a group or some website says, pay me $50 and I'll fill it out for you, no, don't do it. First word is free. It is free to apply. It is a government agency, so anything that anytime you are on it, the URL should say .gov. If it's not, you're not in the right spot, okay? It opens October 1st and it closes April 30th every single year. Every college is given kind of their own pot of money to determine who to give it to and what to do. It is one of those things that when the money runs out, the money runs out. I have seen kids that have gotten, they filled it out early and they were able to get the maximum Pell Grant amount. And I've seen kids that have waited and decided way late in March that, oh, I'm going to do this, and they should have been 100% Pell eligible, but they were not because that money ran out. So it is one of those things, the sooner the better. It does open October 1st. I would not do it October 1st. I would probably not do it until about the 5th or 6th would be the earliest I would do, because you have millions of people trying to do this at once, and there are going to be glitches, there are going to be issues. I would wait a couple days to get all of that stuff taken care of. 5 or 6 days is not going to make a difference. 5 or 6 months will. So, but it does open October 1st. Your FSA ID is specific to you. So as a parent, if you had one, if you were a student and you still have that, that is still yours. Your student's FSA ID, Federal Student Aid ID, is going to remain the same. If you have other students, other children that are older or younger, you can still use your FSA ID and tag in and add this other student as well, okay? Once you have it, you'll always have that username and password. So what I will share with you in just a little bit will kind of help with that. An FSA ID is needed for parent or parents. It depends, okay? So I always say the one parent, it depends on if married, it depends on if the parent is, if they're divorced and who is providing 51% of the financial support. There are lots of extra things that go in there. Not both parents need their own FSA ID. Sometimes it's just one. If you're married filing jointly on your 1040s, then it would just be one. So it's funny because they had this workshop for me yesterday to teach me what to do to teach you, and they said it opens October 1st, have your people sign up, but it takes 3 to 5 days to get their ID, but make sure they do the FAFSA on October 1st. So I'm like, oh, okay, so it's what it is. So the first step is number 3. You have to do your FSA ID, and that takes 3 to 5 days. Every student will need it, and every parent will need it, okay? Then once you have that, and once you're verified, then you can go and do the actual FAFSA, which I would not do, I'm telling you the truth, not until October 5th or later. I just wouldn't. Sometimes it asks for a save key, and I figured out yesterday that a save key is just a random 4-digit code that you put in, so it will save it, and then you can pick up there where you left off to come back later. So a save key is just a 4-digit thing that saves where it's at. So I learned that yesterday too. You're advised to gather all your materials and fill out the form sooner rather than later because this process can take a while, and some financial aid is on a first-come, first-served basis. I think I kind of covered that already. Number 6, this folder will be your friend, okay? You'll want to keep this. Use this because you are only going to log in and use your FSA ID one time a year. You need to have all of this information in one place. If you're like me, and you have things everywhere, you know you have that piece of paper, but you're just not sure where it's at, keep it all in one place. So it's in your green folder. If you're unsure what a question is referring to, next to every question, there is a circle with a question mark on it. You can click that and it will tell you a brief explanation as to what that is referring to. All information, I learned this yesterday too, is based off the day you submit the FAFSA. So marital status, current value of assets. Even though you're using 21 taxes, the day you're submitting that you're completing financial aid is the current value of everything and the status of everything that you use, even if it's different than it was on your taxes in 21. Number 9, whenever the student gets to the student demographics page, even if they have 20 college hours, they're going to put first year never attended because they have never physically attended as a degree seeking college student. And I put on there number 9, work study yes, because that's the only place that you can fill out that yes, you want to do work study. School selection, there's a portion on there where you have to find Frontenac High School, and then you can put up to 10 different colleges. Some kids don't know, and that's okay. You can only have 10, and all 10 of those will receive your financial aid information. So all 10 of those will get your EFC, and all 10 of those will be able to say, okay, based off of this, this is what we could offer you. If you decide to add 11 or 12, you have to remove 1 or 2. You can only have 10 in that pool. Dependency, it'll ask for students' marital status and their dependent status, and if they have their own dependents or if they are a dependent. So you have to be really careful. Is it asking about the student or is it asking about the parent? Whose information should I provide? There is a chart that says who's my parent, and that sounds like a funny chart, but it really is, because sometimes it refers to you have to use step parents. If a parent has deceased or if there's been a divorce, something like that. If the parent is divorced, it's who provides 51% of the financial support. 13, parent financials. If a student is a dependent student, which most of your students are, you can use the IRS data retrieval tool. This used to scare me, but it is the best thing ever because it links directly to the IRS and it pulls whatever form, whatever tax information that you had. You have to double check that everything on the screen is entered correctly. So if you have drive on your, like 107 Crawford Drive written out, drive on your tax information, you have to have it written out here. So there cannot be any discrepancy. If you put the third and not on the other one, you put, you know, the dad's name as the third, you have to have everything identical for that to pull out. You can enter your information if you prefer. Each box will indicate exactly which line the tax form will be on. So it'll be like 1040 line 11A. 15, there is a FAFSA summary. So review all of the information carefully and prior to submitting. Once you've completed your FAFSA, print copies and put them in this folder. So that way you have exactly when everything was turned in. New for this year is a demographic survey for research purposes. This does not impact anything to do with your financial aid. The very end, there's a terms and agreement. Because it is a legal form, you want to make sure that you are agreeing to everything. And then electronic signatures. So that's where the FSA ID comes in, because that's how you sign electronically. You can send it in. You can print it and send it in, but that will take approximately 4 to 6 weeks on the generous side to get processed. So you want to sign electronically with your FSA ID. Be sure to submit your FAFSA and print and save the confirmation page. And then whatever emails you use, check those emails regularly, because a lot of times they will reach out and say, hey, we need proof of this, and they'll send one email. So you have to really make sure that you're checking those emails and replying back and getting everything what you need. Once everything is completed, a student will have what's called a SAR, a student aid report. And this shows the expected family contribution. It will include the date the application was received, as well as any loan or grant or work study eligibilities. This final SAR, this final student aid report, might be necessary or required for some scholarships that students apply for. So that is an important part of it as well. They can always log back in and we can reprint it. If you have to make corrections, and most of the time there's one little thing, you have to log back in, make the corrections. You may have to create a whole new save key, and if you change schools, you can add or delete schools. You can only have 10, we talked about that. But sometimes you make the correction, but you still have to go ahead and you still have to re-sign with the signatures. So make sure you're all the way finished. Next year, everything that I talked about goes out the window. Next year they make huge changes. So expected family contribution becomes a student aid index. It's completely calculated differently. There is more than one way, I don't know how many, but more than one way to qualify for Pell eligibility. They removed a whole bunch of questions. Definition of parent, dependent, family size are changing. There are provisional independent students, income, I don't even know what half of that is. I don't even know what number 7 is, but, and number 11, the student aid index can be a negative number. So these are all things that I'll be learning next year. When your student would be going into their second year of college would be things that would be new, and that financial aid office would help you go through. If not, by then, hopefully I will have had some more training on it. I'm signed up for some stuff in February for it. So this is right now, the second year in college, it will be different, okay? So remember I said number 3 was the number 1 thing to do. So the first thing you have to do is create an FSA ID. So, if you've noticed, we have not covered some blue and purple pages. When you go to create an FSA ID, it's studentaid.gov is the website. I don't think I put that anywhere. So we'll go to the blue page, this one right here. It says parent down at the bottom, or it says student down at the bottom. And it's studentaid.gov. And this is the website, and you will go to get started. And what I have done, I've created myself so many accounts, it's not even funny, but I've went through and printed out each one of these pages and given you some tips on what to do. You can do whatever you want to. However, what I would recommend is on the part that says parent, literally fill this in with pen. Whatever you put on the screen, fill it in on your blue page. And make sure it's accepted before you put it in, because usernames might be full, or you may have to add numbers at the end that you weren't expecting to. So there are 7 steps, and the top of the page says step 1 of 7, step 2 of 7. On step 2 of 7 for the username and email address, that's where I would use a student's new Gmail address. I would not use the school address on that. Password has to be uppercase, lowercase, number, and 8 characters. So I literally have people write down their password on that. Again, this is something you use 1 time a year, and keep this in a secure location. Contact information. Step 4, excuse me. Step 4 goes over communication. There is an opt-in for text and emails. I would highly recommend that, because if you get locked out and you need that secondary to go ahead and verify, that is a good idea. The next page on there that is just my typing in boxes, there are 4 different challenge questions that they ask you. So the student needs 4 and the parent needs 4. I'm telling you what, I know the answers to these questions myself right now, but tomorrow it might be something totally different. Did I capitalize that? Did I put a space in there? Did I put, oh, what was that again? So what I would recommend is whenever you select, it'll be a drop-down menu to select your challenge questions. Literally write in those boxes, this is challenge question number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put your answer next to it. And if it's capitalized, if there's a space, if there's an apostrophe, whatever, so you have that. And then on the back of that page, there's step 6 and 7. And I just put on there the tips for that. The students are blue and the parents are purple. So each of you need your own FSA ID, okay? If you're married filing jointly on your taxes, it would be 1. But before you get an FSID, you need to see who's supposed to be getting that for that student, because every circumstance may be a little bit different. So my suggestion would be get an FSA ID now, because that takes 3 to 5 days. Wait a few days after October 1st, and then go through and fill out your financial aid. Make sure you have all of those documents. Go back through the tips and the list and what you need, and Social Security and anniversary or divorce date and that sort of stuff. Have everything together. I have seen it on more than one occasion. You get to the very end and it's taken too long, timed out, and you have to restart. And there's not anything you can do. They always say that you could call you could call FAFSA, but I think I'd rather call it ACT, but you know, whatever. So that's my own little joke. You've been in the room when I called ACT, haven't you? Yeah, it's not fun. It's really not scary. This really isn't bad. It's really not scary. If you've never done this before, they say it takes about 40 minutes, and that's start to finish every single thing. If you get stuck and you need help, call me. We can troubleshoot. It does not bother me at all to sit down and go through with someone. I've worked with families that don't have even an email address, so we're starting from scratch. That's really okay. Okay? If you need to send this in with your kid and we go through a couple of things, I'm completely fine with that. Your student has no idea about this, right? You have no idea about this because this is a together sort of thing that you have to do. Okay? If you go to the last page that's colored in your booklet tonight, that is important dates for senior class. If that changes, I will update and put that on there. So I have everything on there from when the FEF scholarship is due to graduation, seniors last day, senior banquet, class competition. I know people need to get off work and have to have those sort of things. So everything is on there. Unless there is a major something, I'm not even going to say the word, but unless there is a major something, those are pretty set in stone and do not change. Okay? I think I had a couple other slides left. Yep, slide 16, and I'm almost done, I promise you. For scholarships, I encourage students to apply for every scholarship possible. If you don't apply, you don't get any. Most are non-renewable, so plan accordingly. I have kids every semester that they got $900 the first semester, and then second semester, where's the rest of that money? So you have to plan that out accordingly. When completing scholarships, students, I am the go-between. I am the collector. I'm not the decider of any scholarships. They must sign them, they must fill them out, they must complete them in ink because it's right. Bring them to me and I have them sign the date and what scholarship they turned in. That way, whenever they get submitted, nobody can say, oh, I turned that in to you. So by that time, we will know that you don't hand it to me in the hallway, you don't just throw it at me, slide it under my door, whatever. Thank you notes. I'm a stickler on thank you notes. They must be brought to me in late May. I will go over that. And the reason I say brought to me and not mailed in is because I may have someone who gives 6 scholarships, and if they only get 4 of them, that doesn't look very good. So I mail them all out on the same day, and it's a stack, but it happens. Scholarships through FHS will be available after the 1st of August. All of that money is put away in CDs, and we can only draw it out once a year. So whenever we have that date and we have everything, I will be emailing and letting students know. They'll know in April when they can pick up their money. They'll know, so it'll be fine. And then checks are either sent directly to the school or made out to the school and the student. Then they take those checks to the cashier's office, and any overage is what the school would return back to the student. So we don't give a check directly to the student. NCAA Eligibility Center, if students are looking at playing sports after high school, they definitely need to check in and make sure that they have everything squared away. I told you one last thing that I will do is go to my website and show you everything that was up there from last year. So Frontenac, 249.org, students, and then FHS counselor. So up here in the corner is the financial aid. In the menu is financial aid. And this is where I put everything. So I'm recording tonight, so my recording will be on there. So if you missed something, or if someone missed something, or they just need to go to sleep and they need an hour of something boring to watch, they can just play this, that's fine. That's how I get more views, I think. I'll update all of the slides and a PDF format of everything that's in here. So if you lose your green folder, you're okay. I have extras too. Other resources, how to create an FSA ID, creating it and then completing your FAFSA. I add links for financial aid scholarship and then a comparison. Under this line are scholarships. So we'll have there are major things to do, search engines just for scholarships. Do not pay for anything to find a scholarship for you. Do not pay. If you want to pay somebody $149 to find scholarships, bring it to me. I'll tell you how to spell my last name. It'll be just fine. Do not pay. Do not put money into finding scholarships for you. There are plenty of free avenues. The back of this Kansas Board of Regents one had a whole list from the state. One of those is on there. It's FastWeb, and you get tons of stuff. Finding scholarships, different things. We have a scholarship essay workshop coming up in a couple weeks that is during college English. That's what college English is that day, is a scholarship essay writing. Any senior can sign up and come, and Pitt State, if they choose to write an essay after that, they're eligible for a $1,000 scholarship through Pitt State through the Writing Center. So, see all of these red lines here? These are all scholarships from last year. I told you I didn't change anything because I wanted everyone to see exactly what it is. They are organized by due date. So the sooner they're due, the closer they are up to the top. So every parent, every student has access to the exact same thing. You already know by now that I email everything out. I don't care if it's the Buffalo Scholarship or if it's the trade school in Beloit. I'm emailing everything out to everyone. I'm sorry, you'll get a lot from me, but I don't know what your kid has changed their mind to this week, and I don't know what you may be interested or what you may qualify for. So everyone gets the exact same information, okay? So this, I'll just click on one. I have all of them on here. Some of them are websites, some of them are this. And it tells you exactly what to do and what you need to do in order to apply. That was a bad example. Sorry, hold on. Let's go to this one. This one, it would be forwarding. Oh, that might be a bad example. No, but it's a good example. They're still open. So how to do it, what to do, and the link to do it. Some of them are a page that if a student goes to download, every scholarship before I post it is in a PDF writable or fillable, so they can fill out this. And they can do everything, type it out, send it to me, print it out, bring it to me, whatever it would be, and then make sure they have their signatures. So all scholarships are gonna be available on my website. Behind my back door, I also have a wall that says show me the money, and will be printed scholarships that will be in there. So by the end of the year, the website will look just like it does now with all of those different opportunities. Every year I have somebody that's upset because their child didn't get scholarships, and I look back through and they didn't apply for any. So if you don't apply for any, you don't get any. And just because you apply doesn't mean you're going to get them either, but have to just make sure that we're doing what we need to. That was a whole lot of information, right? And I know it. I have felt it for the past week. I know it was a whole lot of information. I know it was a whole lot of fast. You will have access to everything. You have this. You have more than enough resources to get started. If you need something, reach out and ask me. I will help you. I will go through the whole thing again. It is just fine. Okay? I recognize that there are some things that I went over tonight that do not pertain to you or your student, and I apologize. But I hope something was meaningful, or that you're able to take something and will be helpful. If you have any questions, I'm here, but I went over my hour. I promised an hour, and I'm at an hour and 3, so I'm so sorry. So thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Bye.